we're all better than this. And like, what the hell are we, and like, I was just constantly feeling this like dread and disappointment from like humanity. Like it got to that level.
I think of that all the time.
Yeah.
I know.
Me
I
too,
know.
really. Okay, everybody, how you doing? We are here with stand-up comedian MIKE FINOIA.
Hello.
So happy to have you.
Thank you guys. It's so nice to see you.
You as well. We had a really epic conversation on your podcast, you and I, about a trauma.
Yeah.
It's what's for dinner.
It's the common denominator
It
of
is.
all of us.
And if we don't get traumatized in childhood, boo, just wait till you're an adult. Trauma is a universal experience for sure.
Yeah.
But you had some childhood trauma that I want to get to the point where we talk about this breakdown of yours because it sounds very similar to the one I had. And it's so jarring to have a mental breakdown that lasts years.
Yeah.
You're like, am I going to die? Am I broken? Am I going to die? So your childhood growing up, chaotic?
Insane.
Yeah. What flavor?
What flavor? Okay. My folks had me when they were 18.
Oof.
They split when I was 2 months old. And
Do you remember
I
that?
lived with my mom and her two brothers and my grandparents. They were like
Whoa.
the family that raised me. My uncles were like maybe 14 and 15.
Whoa.
So-
oh, right, because your mom was only 18.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
She was the oldest.
She was a baby having a baby.
Exactly. And I loved it. Like the first 7 years of my life were like bliss. Like I feel like I peaked at 8.
I think I peaked at 4. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Because you were the only kid at the time, right?
And I was, yeah.
Everyone's obsessed with you.
Literally every memory I have is sunny and bright
Aw.
and it smells good. You know how like those real vibrant, like you look back and everything is just like the doors are open. There's
Yeah.
like everything's clean.
Oh,
And then
yes.
my folks got back together when I was 7, 8, and we moved in with my dad and his family, which was like very old Italian, like just I'm mainly Italian, but it's like, you know, there's the Olive Garden Italian and then there's like the Godfather funeral Italian. Like that was kind of like,
He was the Godfather funeral type?
yeah,
Oh.
very like everything was dark and everything was like weird and
Jesus.
musty and like.
Did you talk to your dad in between these 7 years?
I mean, he kind of, I'd go see him on days,
Yeah.
but I don't really remember like
Okay.
there being any like regular. I saw him,
Yeah.
but
he
was
wasn't a regular presence.
kind of more of like a bummer because like everybody in my neighborhood was all like, it was one of those neighborhoods where like it was like the Wonder Years.
Oh,
like you
that's
just like
nice.
open up the door and kids are playing
Yeah.
games and you just join in and whatever. So
4 screens.
what I ended up realizing was, okay, well then my folks had 3 more kids. So
Oh, and then
I'm
you
the
weren't the
oldest.
cutest favorite one.
Not at all. I remember one of my aunts came over once and was like, I'm here to see the baby. I'm not here to see you. And like kind of like almost stiff armed me out of the way. And I was
I'm
like,
actually older siblings. Like Corinne, did you have that when your brother was born? You're not too far apart, so you were younger. Did you have like a
No,
what the fuck?
we're 5 years apart. I
Okay,
think that's pretty.
So you had 5 years of being the only one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I liked having a brother. It was too much attention on me.
Oh,
I used
that's
to like,
healthy.
yeah, I used to like hate going out to dinner with like just one, like my parents or something. I need my brother. Too many questions.
Yeah.
I don't.
No pressure on you
I
anymore.
like attention when I'm on stage, and then when I'm not on stage, I like zero attention.
It's
Yeah.
so funny that you say that. I love my siblings. Like I was so happy when
Yeah.
they came. I have my sister's closest to me and then my brother and then my youngest sister.
Yeah.
So, and it's so weird because as we get to the trauma thingy, you could see how the spectrum of like parenting.
Oh yeah.
It's almost like I was like the crash test dummy of the family and they
Well,
kind of learned.
Every
as
kid gets a different experience of their parents, even if you're twins.
Right,
You get a different
exactly.
experience.
So wild. So then from that point on, we kind of like, we moved a ton. I moved 10 times
What?
before I graduated high school.
The fuck?
And it was all
Why?
within my own hometown. We never
Okay.
left my hometown, which is even more difficult because there was no actual time to like start over.
Why'd
know
you
what I mean?
move? So
Yeah, it's
much?
also like, what's the purpose of moving 10 times within your own? Are you just like using like rentals?
It's like the
Yeah,
Mad Hatter
my-
Tea Party,
my-
like dirty cup, move down, move down.
That's literally what it was like. And I never knew we were moving. I realized this is when I
didn't
first
know?
started to use humor as like we were on the bus and we pulled onto my street and a girl on the bus goes, "You're moving?" And that's how I learned we were moving. There was like a for sale sign in the yard and I was like, Yeah, because I hate you guys.
Yeah.
This neighborhood sucks. Like I started like roasting the bus, and then but I'm like fighting back tears.
Meanwhile, you're moving 2 blocks.
Literally, I moved around the corner because it was I don't know. My dad just, I don't.
Well, oh wait, if he's like mafioso Italian, maybe he's up to some shit.
I wish it was that cool. I think it was just bad gambling and like, you know.
Yeah.
So we just had to keep bouncing around, and she kept having kids. So I was like, all right, I had to use that as material.
Yeah.
But we weren't moving to better houses. We were just moving to different, it was like
Parallel moves.
parallel or down.
Yeah.
And then the house that we ended up like living in for high school was at the end of the driveway to the high school.
Oh, no.
And it was like this,
Gross.
like, I know. And it was like this house that needed, like, it was in total disrepair. So we had to like redo it.
Dude,
and
the
there's a
kids are
barn.
such dicks. So like when I lived, oh God, in middle school, when I lived in like the apartments, they were called, like they would just, I would get made fun of for not having a house.
Yep. Well, you want to know what I ended up doing? Like we had a barn in the backyard, and I just used that as like, everyone can smoke weed back there.
Nice.
So I was
Clout.
just like, yeah. And I'm like, can we please be like cool and not talk about yeah, totally. So in the process of like moving, like them getting back together, I kind of lost my 2 older brothers at the same time. You know what I mean? So that was a weird, like crazy shock. You know what I mean? And then like my mom's just pregnant the rest of my childhood basically. So I was like, shit, you know? So I sort of just like, I was the kid that slept over everybody else's house.
Dude, same.
You know, like literally, I like, thank God for no cell phones.
Can your
and
mom
no,
have a sleepover, please? Can she say yes? Yes, I begged to sleep over all my friends' houses.
I had like 2 or 3 friends that had cool moms that I would just be like, if my mom calls to check on me, like I'm sleeping here. You know what I mean? And I kind of just couch surfed around my hometown a little bit, you know? And then the minute I graduated high school, I moved out, like got an apartment in downtown New Haven with a bunch of friends and went to work and started just like everything was just, you know, from that point on, just an adult. Like I was like 11 and I had jobs like at a pizza place. Like just, thank God I just had my bike, had my cigarettes stashed at a park.
At
like,
11?
I mean, yeah. Oh yeah. I was
bad boy.
I grew up quick in that way. You know what I mean? And I just felt like everybody was like, just abandoned me. It was like collateral damage kind of thing. But I didn't know it at the time. Of
course.
Only through a 40-something-year-old nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
And a
That'll
bunch of
do it.
psychedelic, you know, stuff. So throughout my whole life, I put tons and tons of emphasis on every single friendship, every single relationship.
Yeah.
Every breakup was like a forget you ever knew my name, but it's like we're walking into math together in like 8th grade. And I'm like, you know.
Well, you said that too.
I would.
Yeah,
I
right.
would.
Yeah,
I took
you put those walls up.
I took everything to like the highest level of like sensitivity.
Well, that's normal for a guy with a relationship. But when you said you put everything into every single friendship, what did that look like for a man? Because men tend to not put everything into their friendships, which I think they should put more into them. It'd be helpful.
I'm so unbelievably lucky.
Yeah.
That I still have like a core group of non-comedy friends.
Yeah.
That's very important.
From like middle school to now.
Yep.
And there's like, my hometown is very like, it's like Dazed and Confused a little bit, where it was like everybody was a burnout, everybody was an athlete, everybody was a cheerleader, everybody went to concerts together, whatever. We were all we'd have a keg in the woods and then we'd all be like, you know, whatever. So I'm friends with a lot of people. I was always friends with older kids. I was always trying to like fill that like dad, older brother kind of thing with like older friends. You know, most of my friends they graduated high school when I was a freshman.
Yeah.
So I was friends with, like through sports and whatever. And I held on to them. But I put so much emphasis in like getting let down. Like I was always like expecting someone to fuck up essentially.
And when they did, were
dead to me. Like it broke my heart. Like I knew I shouldn't trust people. And you proved it right. You know.
Well,
what
sometimes
I mean?
in a way, you manifest that because you're like waiting for them to fuck up, and then you don't say it, but that energy's weird, and they feel it, and then they fuck up because they're like, I don't even know why I'm doing this.
Yeah, and it's like, why are you my social boss? Like, first of all, you're younger than me, and you're like mad I'm 10 minutes late. Like, if any.
Oh, so shit like that.
I had a thing where I realized it after the fact, again, as an adult, looking back. My uncle once said, come over and sleep over for the weekend and we'll do this and that, whatever. And I had my bag packed and I'm sitting by the window waiting and he never showed up. That feeling is the like pendulum thing of like when I'm getting disappointed by someone or when I'm forgotten or when I'm not accepted for a thing in this career.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That feeling is what gets like triggered. And I'm like, God damn it.
I'm sure bombing early on in your stand-up career felt great.
Oh, and just seeing like, I mean, even to today, like just seeing like, oh, there's another Netflix thing that I'm not submitting for or whatever the hell. Like, how come no one's thinking to ask me about this? But at least now I have that lane assist of like,
yes,
You know, they're not like Netflix doesn't like send out like a mass email.
I
that
know.
you're not
No, of course
on.
I
Wish
know.
they did,
Of course
though.
I know.
Wish they
Just want to
fucking
clear
did.
that up.
But
for
isn't
you.
it hilarious
They
that it's
pluck
like,
darlings and they just keep giving them the same things. It's not like it's not a coup.
yeah, I know. But no matter how
But it's-
much I know that,
Yeah.
It's
there's
like
still
the
that-
world's against me kind of thing.
Always.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
it's a victim
traffic.
mentality.
it's people cutting me off. It's, you name it. You name it.
I get so pissed. I almost got shot 8 times from road rage incidents.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So every relationship to me was very like, I put all my, like, you have my loyalty, you have my love, you have my trust. But if you ruin it, you're dead to me.
I've never heard your name before. Yeah.
Exactly. And even in like, high school, where
Yeah.
it's like, I mean,
Shit happens.
Shit
Friends
happens.
stop talking to each other. It's sad.
Yes, but I felt like everything was so like off the edge of a cliff,
Black
pivotal.
or white.
Yeah. So, got into a real serious relationship after college and immediate, hot and heavy, fell like madly in love with each other. Moved in together immediately, introduced my friends to her friends. They all hit it off. One of my best friends is married to one of her best friends, but her and I had a vicious breakup, like a horrible, horrible breakup.
How so? How vicious we talking?
Well, I
And how old were you? You were after post college, 24?
25.
Okay. So I'm
26.
sure as you were falling in love, as your friends were meshing with her friends, you were probably like, I'm never going to die. Like
This
you
was
feel
it.
so invincible.
I was like, this is how
the feeling
cool.
I've wanted my whole life.
Right. Like when you wake up and you're just like, you're excited to like find out how their date went. You're
Yeah.
like, you could talk to each other about them and everybody can be together and fun and having a good time. And I just knew in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm not good enough for, like, she came from money and I'm poor. So I kind of
how
like,
was that at first?
horrible, absolutely horrible.
Did she make you feel bad about it, or did you make yourself feel bad about it?
Her folks
parents.
could be a little
Sure.
underhand at times.
Yeah.
Like when I asked about proposing, they were like, are you going to be able to give her the life that she's like used to and whatever? And I'm like, she lives in my apartment with me and she's like, what are
Yeah,
you talking
she's
about?
fine. Yeah.
So, but I remember she came back with like a Land Rover once as like an Easter gift.
Easter?
And I was like,
Wait.
They love the
wait,
Lord.
I had a bag of socks.
Easter?
Yeah, I got a bag of socks. I got like,
I mean, I get jelly beans.
I know, she had a
She got a
Land
fucking
Rover.
Land Rover?
And I put my
That's
thing
an
of
expensive-ass
socks
car.
in the back of the Land Rover. And I was like,
Equal.
wow. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, who's paying for the gas for this thing, right? Anyway, I proposed. She didn't like the size of the ring.
Wait, how did she express that?
Oh, facial express. I mean, like she said yes, but then it was like afterwards, it was like she'd just be like kind of glaring at it a little bit. And I'm just like, what's up? And she's like, I don't really like love the ring. And I'm just like,
Okay.
This isn't you. Like I knew what I think it was just her trying to say nicely, I'm not ready to be married.
I don't want to marry a poor.
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
But what was hilarious was I was doing way better than like, I got into sales because her dad was in sales and I'm like, he's making a ton of money and I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. So I was killing it.
Oh, nice.
Regardless, I was kind of like, this just doesn't feel, I felt them kind of drawing like a wedge between things, you know? And then she got pregnant and I was thrilled. And she ended up deciding not to have the child.
Did she consult you?
And no, she kind of told me this is what I'm doing.
After knowing you were so excited?
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like,
she made that decision.
and here's the thing. I don't hold any, I think it's totally up to a woman to make the choice. However, this wasn't like a one night
just
thing.
fucking. Yeah.
Right. We were like,
You were engaged.
We were engaged. So I'm like, oh, it's fantastic. And we've talked about it and all this and whatever.
Right, but it seems like all her movements, even like the ring and stuff, she's giving you slight signs that she's not ready.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
The whole time.
Totally. And then she started to like, stray and hang out with other dudes and stuff. And I'm like, this is it. It's time to. But also I was having this like.
That was like a man breakup though.
I know. Yeah. She's just like, I'm going to go over here.
She's doing what men do. She didn't have the courage to break up. So she's just throwing like problems into the relationship so that you dump her.
Exactly. And you know what I think it is I'm very like, when you're in my world.
Yeah.
Let's put down all the bullshit and just like we're partners. We're a team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's that frequency thing where it's like if we could talk about that like real stuff, like, or I don't want you in my life.
Sure.
So
how'd she tell you that she aborted?
Was pregnant. I brought her. I drove her.
Okay.
So
she was like, I want to do this.
And the whole time we were on our way, I was like, you know, you really don't have to do this. Like you know, but she did. And then I just felt this like insane amount of guilt. But even though.
Why guilt?
Well, I don't know.
You were just happy to. This idea of you starting a family. I mean, that's got to be such a mind fuck to anybody.
It was crushing. And you know, down the road, like she ended up having a family and whatever, and I don't have kids.
Yeah.
But, and I won't, and it's okay. And I'm glad in retrospect.
Sure.
Okay. Like, I mean, if things worked the way that they would have, it would have been like probably, I don't know, senior in high school or something by now, or freshman in like an adult kid.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would have been able to. It all worked out for the right reasons.
Yeah.
I think,
and then your breakup, you said, was nasty.
Yeah, it turned out to be like, we hated each other and we got very vicious and very vindictive. And I didn't take it well because I lost my friends and her because my friends and her friends were all kind of hanging out together, right? And they ended up getting married. So everybody kind of went that way. Yeah. And I was left over here, or at least that's how I perceived it, right? If I was able to just kind of be, whatever, fuck it. Like, I could be around her. They want me, you know, but I turned tail and moved to Denver and just like did a ton of drugs and blew off steam and really kind of like hit it hard. Like just drank and did coke and did like just partied
just
like
in the mountains, like
Coke
it's so beautiful.
Coke in Denver.
That doesn't sound like a
with the higher
love Denver, though.
Snowy
with the mountains.
It was nuts. And then long story short, moved home, started doing stand up after I like broke my arm and whatever, and I started to do stand up. I met my now wife.
How'd you meet?
Match.com?
Oh my God.
I was going to move to
I don't think I've heard of a Match.com success story
really
in recent years. Yeah, that's great.
I had an account and I didn't remember that I I wasn't on it like actively. I was doing like just starting stand up and I was like, I'm going to move to LA. I'm going to just get the hell out of here or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I got an email that was like, you have Winks in your thing that.
Winks.
So I looked and there she was, nice little cute redhead, and I was like, awesome. So I went on a date with her, and we immediately hit it off. And I don't know, one thing.
And this was still in Denver?
No, in back east, like we were here.
Okay.
So we hit it off. We immediately I was like, listen, I don't know if you want anything to do with me. Like I'm a bit of a mess.
Wild card, yeah.
I'm getting into stand up. Like you don't want this. Like you're put
men will
together,
tell you who they are.
And I'm just like, I don't want to screw you up, you know?
Right.
Because also I don't want to have that I know myself and I know I'm going to be nagging myself with I'm not good enough for her, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So she's like, shut up, you're great. And we started, have seriously dating. We got engaged. And
did she like the size of the ring?
She loved it.
Good.
She was very sweet. And it was a nice ring.
Yeah.
But and it was a different one, of course.
Oh, yeah. That's fucking hope so.
Yeah. No, I've heard of people that
all the time people reuse rings.
Reuse
Wait,
rings.
whoa.
I would never in a million years.
An engagement ring?
Yeah.
Reuse it?
Of course.
They hold on to it and then they go didn't work once, let's try again. I would never in a million years.
I'd be livid.
And a lot of times you would, because you don't want to lose money in the resale, you know?
Which I did.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I totally
Well,
did.
that was the right choice because
in the long run,
fuck?
yeah, totally.
I don't even like when people give grandmothers or mothers rings.
That's weird too.
Get that fucking nasty ass ring off me. That's disgusting.
Yeah, see that I don't mind.
You're fucking your mother. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's oh my god. Like a vintage from a grandma I don't know.
Yeah,
amazing.
Or even
your
maybe
family,
repurpose it or something. Maybe
the whole familial thing. It's way too much pressure. It's too much. You're starting a new life. This is not some continuation of something.
Yeah.
It's fucking strange.
And my wife was super cool right away. Like I brought her to see me do stand up and I bombed horribly. And she was like, are you any good at this shit? She's like, that's the worst thing. And she
that's such a funny response.
Crawled up one side of me, down the other, told me everything I was doing wrong. She's like, you're playing with your shirt. You're saying, and shit after every sentence. And like, just all those little things that she saw right through everything. And I'm like, I'm going to marry her. This is what I need, you know? And she understood my, like, the work that has to go into it and the whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
So
you guys are ride or die.
yeah, she's badass, man. Like, she really is. And I became really good friends with Hutchinson about a year and a half into my marriage.
Or Big J Okerson.
Yeah.
Big J.
Everyone's not going to know who you're talking
Shout out to
about.
Big J Okerson. Anyway, he said to me, I'm moving to the East Village. I got a room available if you want to, like, come down and, like, you could rent, like live with us and I can show you around, take you on the road, whatever, and this and that. And I'm like, okay, let me go ask my newlywed wife if I can go live with a dude in the East Village after we, like, just bought a house and all this shit. And she's like, what? Yeah, like, go ahead. And she's like, I'll go back to school too, and, like, whatever. So we kind of looked at it as, like, going back to school. So I split time.
Oh, wow.
Between our house and my apartment in New York.
Wow.
Sounds sick.
For the first, like, 6 years of my marriage.
That's kind of nice because then you're just not, like, on top of each other all the time, and the time you are spending together, it's like you were having an affair with your wife.
Exactly. And I swear to God, like, when the pandemic hit and we decided, you know, it's been 8 years, we should probably live together, you know, it actually made that so much more exciting because it was like we started dating again almost, you know, and, like, then it flipped where, like, she's working insane hours because of COVID and I'm home out of work freaking out. So I'm doing whatever I can to, like, help her, you know, and, like, making her peanut butter and jelly, like, doing whatever I could to, like, just try to make her life, like, just, can I feel needed in some way? You know?
Yeah.
And then we've just been staying, you know, we've continued to live together.
Nice.
And
so it went
it's stronger than ever.
That's
beautiful. And better than
beautiful.
ever. And it's just been, like, unreal that, like, we were able to. So I look back on that time and, like you said, I think it was fantastic to have a relationship. Conventional things don't work for me.
Yeah.
So, like, the ability to have a wife and a relationship where I can go, like, okay, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm on the road. I'll be back Sunday night through Tuesday, and let's make sure we hang this night and make sure we do. And it's like we got as much in as we could, and we paid attention to each other, and we like really valued each other's time. And then I'd have to, like, you know, pack my laundry and bring my food back to the city. And it's like, you know,
that's so cool. That sounds really fun.
It's like a weird double life kind of too.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it was pretty sick. So I recommend
all the perks of having an affair, but no lying or cheating.
Well, right. And it's also like this thing that people, like, have a man cave and all this shit. And it's like, I had a whole, like, out of state, like, you know, and she would come down, and then I got a place in Queens. So we had our two different spots. You know, we had a place in Connecticut and a place here. So it all worked out really cool. Meanwhile, I'm just beating the shit out of myself. Like, my anxiety and my, like, whatever, real bad.
Yeah.
Anytime I was where I wasn't, I was feeling like I should be in the other place.
Okay.
You know what I
Got
mean?
it. Yeah.
Like,
Something was always wrong.
Yeah. And it was always me.
Yeah.
And it was always the pressure of, like, me trying to be all things at once, and I just couldn't.
Yeah.
If one thing went wrong, it was, I just, like, the whole tower came down, and whatever. It was vicious.
Much like the Tower Tarot card, yes.
Is that true?
Yeah, the Tower Tarot card usually means, like, everything's crumbling down, and it's a death of something, usually a part of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And, like, I used to smoke weed to, like, relax, but anytime I smoked in New York, I'd go, my wife's home alone. What kind of husband am I? And then when I was there, and if I smoked or something, I'd be like, my whole career, like, right now I could be doing spots.
Right.
What the hell am I doing here? You know,
so you're just continuing the inner dialogue of beating the shit out of yourself.
Constantly.
Yeah. And
constantly.
That has a shelf life. I mean, not a shelf life, that has a breaking point. Mm-hmm. And you experienced it.
Yes.
So let's go into that.
Pandemic hits and everyone loses their mind, and, you know, all the wild shit's going on, and someone's in office as president, and things are, you know, kind of getting a little bit dicey out there. And my folks, my dad, he had a mindset that I didn't, and things kind of got, like, very weird. I confronted him, and I talked to my family, and I was just like, listen, I've had it with this shit. Like, this has been my life for too long, and I'm sticking up for you guys, and I'm doing this and that and whatever. And everybody kind of chose sides. Like, for the first time ever, it was like if our family was like a pond, like a big stone fell into the pond and ripples happened, and everybody had to kind of, like,
go off in their own little...
Who are these people to you? Who are these people to you? Like, I'm older than my siblings. Maybe they had a different relationship than I did. So I understand they got to go the way they got to go, but we're not.
Yeah.
And it just turned into this thing where like the walls just started to cave in. And I was like, again, no comedy, right? So there's no distractions.
Right.
And you're just kind of stuck holding all your shit. And I started to have these like, I would wake up at like 3 a.m, literally like gripping the mattress, right? And I felt like I was almost like, you know, those weird like dreams when you're awake, but you're not. And your body's kind of like, I felt like I was having like those like falling constantly type things. I was having like terrible paranoia, and I was like, I didn't want to leave the house. My wife would be like, let's just go get ice cream or something. And I like didn't want to get out of the car.
Yeah.
I felt like, you know, if I had gigs, I would like drive to the gig, park outside, wait until the very last minute, run in, do my set, run back to the car.
Yeah, no
I was making
interaction.
excuses for, my friends were calling me going like, let's go to a concert. Let's go to this. Like the world started to open back up. And I'm like, nah, man, I got to do, you know, I just made up excuses and I hid from the world, but I was having like, I couldn't sleep. Like from the minute I woke up to the minute I went to sleep, I was going like 1,000 miles an hour in my head, and I couldn't like hit the brakes. Like it was terrible. And I asked my wife to leave me. I went to a doctor and was like, I'm not suicidal, but I'm exhausted.
Yeah,
like I don't
sick
know
of this
what
shit.
I don't know what to do. Like nothing helped. And I was taking Xanax, which is terrible because it works short term, but then you get like rebound anxiety from it. So,
and that's hard to like, don't you get addicted to that
yeah,
easily?
I was totally like, I was pretty hooked on it. And I went to this shrink. I went to the psychiatrist. And what I did was, prior to going to the appointment, I sat down and I wrote essentially a timeline, like kind of like in a more detailed version of what we just went through.
Right.
All the way back to like the first shit I remember that like, you know, and to today or to then, you know, and I'm like sobbing and I'm just writing all this out. And I said what I wanted to accomplish, my physical, like whatever. Cause you know, when you go to that first appointment with a therapist, they're like, so tell me about yourself.
Yes.
I didn't have time for them to go, come back next week. Like I needed to go like, yo, here's me. Like lock me
Help
up,
me.
like put me somewhere.
Yeah.
And I mean that. Like I was ready to like, I was so sad.
This is actually a great money saving tip, just to Jew out for a second. you can save time in therapy by like, if you have a therapist who accepts emails. I used to always do this. So I would
That's a great idea.
You email a chunk and like basically like, you know, prior to our session this week, I just wanted to go over a couple things and you don't waste time.
Doing that next
then
therapist.
you got like a little bit of, you know, it's a
they
BOGO.
can start formulating what they think is the issue for you.
It also makes them more prepared for the session because you're making them do homework. So that's
Great tip.
that's genius.
Yeah. And I used to call therapy emotional blue balls because it was like the moment like I felt like I was getting somewhere.
Exactly.
They're like, we're out of time.
I know what I need to
fucking hate
conquer
that
in the
shit.
session. So I'm like, I'll email you some advanced things. Like if I have a letter from an ex-boyfriend or like a text exchange, I'm like, can you read this in
great.
advance of the appointment?
It's a good tip.
And then
That's hilarious.
It's really truly a crazy money saving
It
tip.
really, and it's a time
So
saver.
every time you get a new therapist, you're like, okay.
I went to so many.
And then you got to see the reaction in their eyes again, and you're like, cool, I know it's bad.
And I was going to a hypnotherapist who I love, but she even said to me, I'm not qualified to help you with like the shit you're going through. She's like, you gotta like go like
Trauma therapy?
Yeah. So what I did,
A lot of these therapists went to school for like 2 years or something.
and
Like,
she's an incredible woman, and we were like, I was having such. But this, for everything that she threw me, I'd go, but, and she's like, Mike, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
So I went to this doctor and I said, all I want to do is feel okay. That was the last, I need to feel okay, like baseline.
Yeah, like when you wake up, you don't want to go back to bed or die.
Exactly.
That would be sick.
And I'm begging everybody in my family just to like my wife, my sisters, my son, and I'm just like, guys, just I don't want to bring you down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the therapist looks through my, thing. She goes halfway through the first page. She's like, well, you clearly have like a lot of PTSD. you've got a lot of trauma in your life. You've got like, you know, all this guilt and all that. The fact that you took out all the time to write all this down is like, you're scared to forget something and you want to make sure that I see all of it. And she's like, have you ever done ketamine for depression or anything? And I'm like, well, I did it off like a Frisbee at Bonnaroo once, you know, whatever. And
that was her first, that's where she went first?
Well, I also
surprise.
brought a list of, she says I have treatment-resistant depression because I had like, I brought like a...
I always thought that just meant really depressed.
Yeah, it just means mine's tougher than yours.
You're super duper depressed.
My depression works.
I have diet depression.
So I gave her a list of the medications I've tried.
Yeah.
And she's like, none of
Same
these
shit.
worked. And I'm like, they made me mad. They made me like, you know, I tried everything. All the pills. Except Zoloft, which I kind of love. But anyway, she goes, let's try ketamine, and I'm going to recommend you to a cognitive behavioral therapist.
Yeah.
And man, right away, like, so I go back home, talk to my wife who's in medicine. So like, I'm like, are you okay with this? And she's like, 100%. And we go through the room where it's like the ketamine center is a bunch of recliners that are like little pods. And you go into this first room and you get your pulse checked, your blood pressure, you get the IV port put in. And then you go in your room, they connect the ketamine, and you sit back
off to the races, baby.
And it is just like weight, like bags of weight get cut, and you all of a sudden feel light. And it's just like you drift off to, it's like a 90-minute, 2 hours, but like the first 45 minutes to an hour, you're in a deep, like lucid psychedelic space where you're just kind of like, you're off. And everything it's like I would approach my fears and not have the fight or flight thing. So you just kind of have to, I remember one where I was like approaching a wall in my trance or my dream or whatever. And I'm just like, I'm going to crash into this wall and die. But I can't stop because I'm in a dream state. So I crash right into the wall and go right through it.
Nice.
And then I look back and I'm like, I didn't die.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that rewrote
It rewrites your brain, your brain waves. It completely, one of the neuroplasticity of the brain and your ability for the left and right hemisphere to communicate. And you don't realize how much that helps with depression and anxiety, because when your hemispheres can communicate effectively, you can talk back to the fear and it works.
Yep.
But if they can't communicate and you convince yourself you're going to die or this person hates you or whatever the fuck it is, then you're right.
Yep.
And it's like, whew, there's no leeway.
It's nuts. And it's like you kind of come back, like your molecules come back to your form, right? And then right from there, I would go directly into cognitive behavioral therapy.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Where like
I need a center like that.
Where like my like inhibitions are down, my wall, and I'm still kind of open, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was able to get like right in. And this woman was like, I mean, I credit these two women for saving my life, like these two doctors. And the cognitive behavioral therapist, like you get homework, like you get a workbook that's like, what is your belief or whatever? And it's like, everyone hates me. On a scale of 1 to 100, what evidence do you have that that's true? And then you have to kind of rank it. And it's like, if everybody hates you, are you going to die? Like, is anyone going to die? Like, so if it's actually true, what's going to happen, you know? And it made me realize that like all of these things that I was making this big were really just like this big, and focusing on them was just making them look bigger. So you do exposure therapy, you do like all of this different.
How'd you do exposure therapy in your instance?
Well, I talked to people that I realized with a lot of the people in my, I would create like this inflated version of people that I was mad at or pissed at or afraid of. In my head, they were monsters, right? Mm-hmm. But when you talk to them, it's just another person. Mm-hmm. And I'm probably better at talking than they are. Yeah. So I was like, part of the exposure therapy was calling some of these people that like I didn't want to talk to, and I did it. And I was like, oh, they're nothing. They're fucking clowns, you know, or see someone and be like,
fucking
it's
clowns.
like looking underneath the bed and being like, there's no monsters, you know what I mean? And then I like, you know, would put myself into, and I mean it, I didn't want to leave the house. So like my wife and I would go out places and I wouldn't wear sunglasses or whatever. Like I just like silly things that
you were a little more vulnerable. You allowed yourself to be a little more vulnerable in the world.
And then a little more and a little more and a little more. And then I incorporated a small dose of Zoloft for OCD because I don't have the like touch the doorknob 10 times thing, but I have the compulsive thinking where it's like I just get like wrapped in a thought. I would set up at the worst case scenario, and I just believed that that's where the world was operating from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My perception was just fucked. Like my view of everything was, I'm wrong, everyone's mad, and I'm just waiting for like the ball, like the other shoe to drop or whatever.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, because if you're always in fight or flight, that's your comfort zone. Which is
Yeah.
a terrible comfort zone to be in, obviously. But then, so you create, it's like you subconsciously create thoughts in your head or circumstances to keep you in fight or flight.
And you know what it was? It was like I was holding on to this like thing of like, and it wasn't an ego thing where I'm right, but I just had this like idea of, and I think it was the world at the time, and just like this feeling of what's going on in on the planet and everything, and I just had this idea of like righteousness. Like I had this thing of like where we're all better than this. And like, what the hell are we? And like, I was just constantly feeling this like dread and disappointment from like humanity. Like it got to that level.
I think of that all the time.
Yeah.
I know.
Me
I
too,
know.
really.
And it's just get like, and I don't think you can.
You're not wrong. That's the problem with sometimes when people are explaining their depression, I go, well, yes, I guess it's a medical issue and that it's affecting your ability to, live your own life. But like the fears and the depression that you have are about a thing that is real.
Right.
Yeah.
No, totally.
So.
And all these things that had happened that I was kind of like, either a part of the circumstance or collateral damage, or someone decides to not have a child, or like, I didn't like, I did a massive, a pretty big mushroom dose. I may have told you about this.
Yeah.
I did a
hero dose, did you?
Yeah, it was like about 4 grams of mushrooms.
Was this in a therapeutic setting?
It was with yes, it was.
Ooh, I want to do that.
So it was just myself and this prior to the ketamine. Okay, so this is as like about 6 months before I started doing the ketamine.
Oh,
and
shit.
I met with this amazing woman, and also that little side note, everybody that has helped me has been a woman. Like I can't.
That checks.
I've had a lot of like. She even said, she goes, maybe we can do like a group session where there's like a couple of like different, like a male therapist and me and whatever. And I'm like, not yet.
Yeah,
like, and I don't even know what it is, but it's just, I feel this
Women
like
are nurturing and
pressure of some like, I don't know, like it's weird. I don't want to feel off, like not fully like there or whatever. And I don't know. But, so we do this whole thing. We like do my Enneagram numbers and all these amazing things. And like we're talking and we get to know each other. And she's got this amazing studio, made me like a big.
You're gonna have to give me her info.
I will, absolutely. A big like beanbag bed in the corner near like a window near a river, and there's sun coming through. And I eat the chocolates and I start to feel it. And I go over and I lay down, and immediate bliss, like the most perfect mushroom trip. I'm watching the sun.
That's a good strain.
Yeah, it was Golden Teacher was the name.
Golden Teacher.
They're fantastic.
Last time I did shrooms, I just yelled, am I a good person or a bad person for 8 hours?
Yeah,
wow,
I remember you told me about that. And it's like, so this was like.
So this was a good trip.
The plant in the window was like collecting energy from the sun and like blasting it out into the room. And I'm just like watching it. And each little song was like a vignette, like a little short story. And at one point, I went to this like suspended animation, all dark, and it's me, and a blue light like shoots by me and sets up, and it's the kid I didn't have. And it goes, it goes like, I've been here all along. Like I'm not mad at you. It's not your fault. Everything's cool, but I had to stay on this side, and it's all good. Let it go.
Whoa.
And it was this really kind of like holy shit moment.
It's like a near-death experience moment that people describe.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I kind of had a thing where I was just like, I sat up, I guess, and I was just like staring up, and I was just like, streaming tears, whatever. And after that, I kind of like popped out of the mushrooms, and she's like, you're done already? She's like, you took, you should still be like,
yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what the hell just happened, but like, I think I got what I needed to get done. And she's like, well, do you want to talk? And I was definitely still tripping, but it was such a powerful thing that happened that I just kind of like felt like I need to like come back and sort of
talk it out or,
But I'll tell you something, it was, I knew that bothered me, but I didn't realize how much it bothered me. And then to have that moment of being able to like let it go was pretty incredible. And I was okay with like not having kids and not being a dad and whatever and that whole thing. So that level of like, that's the shit that I was kind of like, what a lot of people don't realize with this type of like work, and I think it's why people give up or why people don't try to fix themselves. When you start doing the work, like it takes a very long time and it gets worse before it gets better.
Oh, dude.
And that's the shit
Yes,
that's
it
like, I mean,
does.
I started to just have like, I mean, to wake up in the morning and little by little not feel bad. And then one day you're just like, you wake up and it's like,
what the fuck?
life,
the sky's blue.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I was like, I swear to God, like my dog knew, or like my wife knew, like things in my life.
Well, because your
knew.
energy was totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we romanticize this sense of self-care and doing the work, and like a chunk of the population romanticizes it, but it's ugly.
It's fucking vicious.
It kind of should be, because you're revisiting these ugly moments in your life that were scary and terrifying, and you have to allow yourself to go, oh, and you like your current self meets your younger self, and they mesh and they hold each other.
And it 100% gave me the ability to forgive. It made me look at everyone from a more like empathetic, accepting standpoint. My family, my ex, my friends, myself.
Because we're all people.
And I'm just like, we're all dented cans. Like it came to, that's where I just was like, we're dented and we all have a tear in our label, or we're, people think we're shit, or we think we're shit, but the stuff on the inside's good. And I just had this whole kind of like, it all categorized itself. And I kind of I ended up doing ketamine probably with a doctor, probably like 60 times, 50 or 60 times.
Wow. And you did the intravenous?
IV. And I went twice a week for the first 5 weeks. Yeah, Monday and Thursday for the first 5 weeks. It was an intense, like, and you have to take these like GAD-7 test, general anxiety disorder test, where you go like, it's like a bubble test where it's like the questions are like, the world's better off without me. Strongly agree to like strongly disagree. And then you get a score, and that would determine your dosage and all that. And so I did that for, the first 5 weeks, twice a week.
It's also getting you used to checking in with yourself.
And every single time.
Interrogating your thoughts.
And there were times when I was doing it where I was like, I'm okay to die right now. Like it literally.
In a sad way or in a calm way?
In a calm way. In like a peaceful, like an acceptance of like, none of this shit matters. Like, and it's, Ken Kesey, who is the guy who took acid way back, like the whatever, he always said like, none of this comes for free. Like when you do psychedelics, or when you drink, when you smoke, nothing comes for free. So like, I think you have to pay a price with the benefit of this stuff, because like I forgot a lot of the bad stuff, but I think I also forgot a lot of the good stuff. I think that like some memory kind of like got a little bit.
See, that's what I was worried.
From doing all that ketamine?
I was worried that it would also like.
That's a lot.
Restructure my thinking, but in ways that I didn't want it to.
Well, the mushrooms, I will say, I mean, I've done a lot of massive doses of like, I love psychedelics, but I mean, I definitely had a couple bad trips where it was like what you were talking about, where like the tail of it lasted like a couple months. Like I almost think that it made me worse a bit going into like it didn't help. Like that one great one was phenomenal.
Right.
And I came out with like a notebook full of like all this amazing shit that I was thinking about, and like love and fear are like the only real things. And if you're looking at one, you can't see the other. And it was just like, life equations were happening. And then the next one, every time I closed my eyes, I saw those like Chinese parade dragons coming at you. And I like every time I closed my eyes for like weeks after I would see him, and I was like,
okay.
So you get a little, you pay a price one way or the other. So,
well, that's good, because I feel like too, I'm certainly guilty of like putting psychedelics on a pedestal, even in a therapeutic setting, and it's like there are consequences to doing them a lot. So
absolutely.
You've obviously experienced those so many. I mean, your wife got you back, and you got yourself back.
Yeah, and I definitely feel better than ever, and I don't feel ashamed to talk about this shit. And I think that like, I forgive everyone that like, you know, I don't know. My folks grew up while I was growing up.
Yeah. Your mom had you when she was 18.
They weren't vicious.
Right. They didn't
weren't
try to
shitty
fuck you.
people. They just were doing their best, I get. Like, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And if it's not what you know, whatever, I don't know.
It's not what you needed, but it gave you, it's a part of who you are, which is pretty great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
I was just talking to my friend Donna on text today, and we're like, yeah, our parents like fucked us up, but now it's so exciting to be able to see that as a gift and like really mean it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I know I should see this as a gift. I shouldn't be a victim. And yes, that's true. But like, I don't feel that way. So like, hurry up.
Right.
But when you could finally feel that way, it's like, oh, wow, this is what it feels like to just be human and operate from a place of love and not fear.
That's it. And the thing is like, whose parents didn't fuck up?
Yeah.
If your
parents a human
never
being?
once.
I mean, no. I mean, like on a large scale. That's why I don't want to just sit here and be like, yeah, like I can't agree with that. But I'm like, yes, mine is not the norm. So I was like, don't worry. I went through lots of bad stuff, but in my 20s of my own doing. But like overall, yeah, like I would say like probably I can't say anything negative about my upbringing.
Would you say that like, did you have friends that were more in our camp that your family almost kind of became like the surrogate? You know what I mean?
No, see, this is why it's been so interesting becoming a comic. My closest friends also, like there was one friend, I almost said her name, I shouldn't say her name. There was one friend who had a very, I'll just call it dysfunctional childhood, you know, who I was always like worried about her. But then my other core friends were fine, you know, and that's why, and there was also a lot of children of immigrants, so who like first generation, like their parents didn't speak English. I had several friends whose parents didn't even speak English. So I think it was also just like a different culture coming in, where they're like, we don't have
time to think about that.
We don't have time to like fuck up our kids. We just moved here and we're trying to figure out a new country.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was under the impression till, I don't know, 10 years ago maybe, that like having a bad childhood was like a very rare thing that you saw in the movies. And then I'm like, oh no, most people seemingly had a bad childhood or a dysfunctional childhood.
Well, and you know what's weird, I think, and it's probably completely like, I bet anybody, 100% of people, you accept the reality you're handed.
Sure.
So when you're in it,
and you're like, everybody has this, right?
Everybody's parents hoard shit, right? Or everybody
but that's
like
super
whatever.
Helpful. Yeah.
And then you go to someone else's house and
but then
like,
it sucks when you realize that's not the case.
Wow, no one else does this? Like that's the weird part.
I've had so many. I still have moments where I'm like, wait, your dad teaches you that shit? That's crazy.
I know. And you know what's so funny is that like I talk to friends that, and it's weird because I'm the one without a kid and all my friends have kids, and I talk to them and they ask me, they're like, I got down at like my son's level and he was talking to me about something and I'm like, I don't know the answer, but let's go figure it out. And I'm like, he's like, am I being a good dad? And I'm like, bro,
dude,
the fact that you're talking about what you did and thinking about if you're a good dad, you're a good dad.
Yeah, and it just
the fact that you give a shit.
Yeah, and the way technology has absolutely exploded since the 90s, right? In the similar way, parenting has evolved so much.
Right.
And that's why I can look back at my parents and how they grew up and have so much compassion for like, that wasn't fucking easy.
No.
And they could have turned out way worse.
And everybody's going through their shit. And it's like, that's the part that like, I think I appreciate the most about what I did is that it gave me, so when I would be on ketamine, like in every session, it's almost like there's this big balloon and that is the thing I'm pissed about or the thing I'm ruminating on or focused on or the thing I can't get over. And as I would go through the session or the treatment, it's like the balloon would deflate to the point that it was completely deflated. And I'm like,
there's no pressure now.
There's no, that thing doesn't matter.
Which is the best. Cause like when you were gripping on so tightly to, she did this to me or whatever the fuck it is.
Yes.
From the fact that it can even go from like 100,000, like it matters so much to absolutely, it's fine. Who gives a shit?
Nothing matters.
It's crazy.
And literally like I've had conversations with people that don't understand my flavor of depression or anxiety. And I go, all I want is to feel like nothing matters. And they go, oh my God, what are you nihilist or whatever? And I'm like, no, everything matters too much.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm carrying every weight.
Clinging to everything.
It's like empathy to a fault where it's just like, I don't know
and
how to
that's
not.
controlling too. It's
Right.
very controlling.
Yeah.
It's something you can't control.
And it's fucking exhausting. And it's just this thing of like, I can't feel like this all the time.
Yeah.
Because no one's getting any of me. I would be talking to my wife and I'd be looking her right in the eyes and I'm hearing what she's saying, but I'm not hearing shit. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry. I can't even like.
You can't use your comprehension skills.
It's like the
You
depression
can't connect.
commercials where it's like you just see the mouth moving and it gets blurry and
so
fuzzy.
sad.
It's terrifying.
So it's interesting. You had a partner through all this because when I had my mental breakdown, I wasn't with anybody romantically, and so that there's pros and cons to that because you're like, I'm alone, no one cares. I just shut the fuck up and die. But your wife sounds like a G the way she handled this.
She was
and
tough.
that couldn't have been easy for her.
No, and also she's like, and that was the guilt thing of kind of like, man, I can go back and like, it almost like gives me like, it makes me feel sick when I think about it. But it's like, when I was really going through it, again, we're in lockdown.
Yeah.
So it's not like I could go to the gym or whatever, like do that. Like I'm just stuck. And I would be thinking and writing stuff down and whatever. And she'd get home from watching people die. And I would hit her with like, so I was thinking about that, like maybe I should go to this place or maybe should I try this medicine? And she's just like, okay,
Yeah, I need
like
to meet this woman.
I know
and
Give
she's
her a
just
hug.
like, calm down, whatever. And then I'm like, I finally like one day she came home and I'm just like, I need us to split. Like we have to split up because I can't put you through this anymore. Like I'm gonna go get better and check into it. And she's like, would you shut the fuck? Like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, what's wrong with you? You're going to be okay.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, she didn't seem worried that you weren't going to make it through this, and which is really, I find to be very inspiring. That's really great.
I felt like I was going to shatter into a million pieces.
Right.
Like, I felt literally like if any...
She didn't try to fix it for you or like...
No.
She wasn't coddling you. I remember when I did your podcast and you were telling me in more detail how she handled you during this time. I'm like, that is a great way to handle a spouse going through a depressive bout because it's tough. I mean, we get emails from a lot of listeners that are like, my partner, my wife, my husband, like won't, and it's always like, well, are they willing to take care of themselves? Are they willing to show initiative to try to fucking get better? That is the only question to ask yourself of whether you should stay or go.
Right.
Really.
Yeah. And it was just the thing of like, I didn't want to do, like you were saying how it's like a double-edged butter knife almost, where it's like you are alone.
Yeah.
And you're like, no one cares about me. But you also
freak out,
like,
no one's getting
I
weird.
could just wither away and no one cares.
Yes,
right? You
there's
know,
certain
has to
comfort in
watch
that.
me freak out.
Yeah.
And that's a bummer, but it's also great because I felt if I saw her, I'm like, her day is shit.
Yeah.
I should be making it better when she gets home. Like I want her to be wanting to come home so we could be happy together. But instead, I'm sitting there like, can I talk to you about how I thought I was going to die 500 times today and whatever? And she's just like, yeah. And but I am automatically feeling like I'm putting this on her and she doesn't need that. And it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was just a constant like, chess match with myself of like, don't be a burden on anybody, but also don't try to go through this yourself. Cause I've tried that and I know that doesn't work.
Right.
But I'm lucky that I had, these two amazing women that were doctors. My wife, my sister was there to help, my brother, and I just kept at arm's length the people that I needed to keep at arm's length until I was able to kind of like.
Did you almost kill yourself? Did you get to that point?
There were a couple times when I was driving home and I was thinking about like, is it just the wheel? I mean, I don't think...
We are twins in that way. Yeah.
Doesn't everyone think that sometimes? Like, this is the subway thing. You're standing there and you go, I can just jump right now.
But that's a casual. Like, if I'm standing on a roof, I'm like, I can just fucking jump right now.
Yeah.
But there's no emotion behind it. I think, like, the closest I got was in my car and just driving 100 miles an hour into a wall. You're not going to hurt anybody if it's a fact or whatever the fuck. But accompanying that thought, it's heavy. Like, it's so heavy of like the voices in your head just kind of attack you. Like, yeah, fucking do it.
I'm very happy that I had like, my nephew, my nephews, my niece, my family members would kind of pop in my head and I'd be like, I don't want to do that to them. Like, I want to get to know them more as they age, and I want to be here for them. And
did you ever have a plan though, because that's like what they'll ask you when you do an intake. Like, do you have a plan for suicide?
I would say that when I was in Denver and I was going through my like heavy duty, like partying and
Right.
getting over the breakup kind of thing, I had an apartment on the 11th floor and I was on like tons of drugs all the time. And I was just kind of like, I could always just do a little like, whoops, you know, and whatever. Never wrote anything down, never. But I felt so, I would say I almost felt too exhausted to do it. If that makes sense. I don't know if anybody that ever went through it maybe would understand.
Yes, it does. That's why when you're in the car and you have that thought, like I've only really had that thought in a car one time in my life, and that was the most serious I ever got about it. But it's like
it's sobering, huh?
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
is.
Jesus Christ. Like
when you
that was,
scare yourself, oof, that's
it was like an icy night. I remember
tough.
I was driving back from the city doing spots, and I'm like, I could just, you know, like there's an 18-wheeler coming, I could, you know, like whatever, but I never. Like it got to, that's when I'm like, I need help. I need to go.
Yeah.
So
and stuff like that, you ruin someone else's life too.
I know.
Because the 18-wheeler is a person.
I know. Yeah, it's not just a tree that's like, totally.
Yeah, a tree, go have that.
Go off.
We can always plant another one, right?
Yeah.
So then I think coming out of it and I started to feel better was this kind of like shitty honeymoon phase where I felt like I had to only talk about this.
Oh, yeah, been there. It's
where
terrible.
it's this like born again happiness guy. Where
it
it's
is
like,
very born again Christian.
Yeah.
They're like, do you want to hear about the Lord?
Yeah, like anybody want to talk about mental health? Like, you know, like it was like I almost
when
had
you
like
feel better, you want to share it with other people. It's the same as like when you stop drinking alcohol or you go vegetarian. I understand why vegans talk so much about it. I just don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well,
and
also,
a lot of people.
There's also a part of you that's like, I never thought I could feel this way.
Exactly, and I also kind of felt this thing, this like need, where like if anybody else is feeling like this and they feel alone, and God forbid they did ever do
it's
something,
helpful,
it would kill me to not be able to like, you know, I want to make sure I help them. Thank God that ended. And now I could talk about just other shit. I felt like on stage.
Comics can't be doing that.
Oh my God. On stage, it was like the only thing I was like, I had this, I had this realization and I've been trying to figure out how to use it in a bit. But one time I was coming off ketamine and I was looking at my hand and I like, when you're coming back, you kind of like get feeling in your, you know, whatever. And I was looking at my hand and I realized that you can't make peace without the middle finger. And like peace is fuck you, I'm number one. Like if you, so like the way to make peace in your life, like, cause my whole life has been, I'm like letting everybody down, but if I can go fuck you, I'm number one, that's peace. And I'm literally like, I'm in the chair.
The highest shit I've ever heard.
I'm in the chair and I'm like, dude, the Dalai Lama can
give
eat
me a
dick.
paint in
like,
the
yeah,
easel,
I'm just like,
bitch.
I'm just like,
so funny.
And I came down and I got home and I'm like, this is it. This is like literally a page has turned in my consciousness. And I told my buddy and he was like, I don't think you should tell anybody else that. He's like, that's some weird shit.
That's just you thought.
No, that's funny.
No, I know. It's great. But it's just this thing
it's
of
cool
like,
to experience your brain working well for the first time. It's like their whole life you've had two legs and they both function, but you've only ever used one, and then all of a sudden you use both of them, and you're like, wait, I can like run and shit. You guys know you can run? Everyone's like, yeah, we've been running this whole time.
And I'm not blissfully ignorant or some monk or some shit now. I'm just base level. Okay.
Which is great, yeah.
I flip
and
out.
that's huge.
I get pissed. I apologize. I cry.
You're still human.
Whatever. But I think what I have now is lane assist. I think that like periodic psychedelics, therapy, a teeny tiny little bit of Zoloft or whatever, it's like I don't end up in the ditch anymore. Like when I start to drift out of my lane, which is what killed me in that freak out that I had, I get a little beep, 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 and like come back to the middle and just like
there's
stay.
no shame
like,
with it.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
I know I'm dented. I've got to deal with that and it's okay. And I just need to like not drift and just make sure that when I'm starting to feel a bit in a funk or let down or left out or whatever those little kid things, just slide back to my lane and be like, you're all right, dude. You're 45 years old. You've accomplished a ton of shit. Everything's going to be okay.
You've evolved
and
greatly.
we're going to die.
Yeah.
And none of
Which
this
is
shit matters.
relaxing. Yeah.
I can't wait.
So why not have the best time? I mean, yeah.
I could wait, but you know.
Yeah. But also like, why not have the best time and like live your life and be present for the people you love and like appreciate your friends and lift them up and fucking
That's it.
wear the weird outfit or whatever the fuck
That's
it
right.
is.
And just forgive and let people, you know, everyone's messed up and everybody hurts people. So
yeah, that's
weird.
beautiful.
I'm so happy to hear you didn't have any of this.
Yeah, well, I think people hear that and then like, oh, your life is great. I'm like, no, lots of bad stuff happened. It just
of course.
was not
Happened later.
connected to my childhood.
It's just nice to have like a foundation of like, I just wonder what it would have been like to have like people have my back.
Yeah, yeah.
I never felt like I had that.
I will also
You know?
say, I think part of it, just, like, because we're talking about like how people can grow up in the same house with the same parents in the same city and have a much different experience. So like, if you were to interview my brother right now, he would have a very different take on the childhood. That being said, so I do think some of it is just like who I am as a person, right? I'm like, I'm just like very unbothered by a lot of things that other people are doing. And I don't mean like, I'm very bothered by like bad things people are doing in the world, but as far as like not giving me enough, like that's not really, I don't really feel that.
Wow.
Amazing.
What the hell
And
is
like
that
if I do,
like?
only time I do is like, I mean, I do like definitely feel like men don't give enough in relationships. My one now, yes, but like previously, but then so I just don't. But I'm like, okay, well, I just don't date them.
You don't take anything personally.
But I think part of it is because like I'm looking for so much because I was given so much. So I'm like, I'm not gonna, little morsels from some boyfriend is really not gonna cut it for me.
I think if I could go back and like kind of tell younger me something, it would have been just calm down and be patient. No one ever let me know, like, take your time. Like,
what were you being impatient about, though?
I thought constantly that we were going to have to move again. I thought the bottom was going to fall out. I thought, but I also felt like this thing of like, I need to be everything to everyone, and I need to
fix it. I gotta figure it
responsible.
out.
Sure,
the money is gonna like
That's your way of
stop
taking
coming
control.
in. Like you look at the calendar. That's why comedy is this weird methadone for me, where it's like I always need to be worried about the calendar. I always need to be worried about the bookings, but it's okay because that's the minutia of the thing I love to do. So at least it gives that guy in my head
see things for what they are.
A little clerical job instead of like a catastrophic, the sky is falling.
That's fine. You
thing.
should. I mean, like, I'm always prepared for everything to go away as far as like, financially, especially in a business like this. Yeah.
I probably ruined a ton of careers and a ton of friends because I was putting all of this pressure and emphasis and rush like on it. I'm so glad I didn't marry that girl.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we didn't have a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, but at the time it was like, how did I fuck this up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just all that because I put all of everything happened because of me.
Well, it's
it was
like,
this weird, dumb, narcissistic kid thing.
Yeah, sure. Well, and it's like that's the beauty of getting older is you can look back at your younger years and with a zoomed out lens and go, oh my God, I saw how hard I clung to that. But then I very clearly see how that didn't even matter and I worked for nothing. But then I think with like what I've done ketamine therapy and actually because of you recommended Drip Gym, which is like a place where you get like Botox and vitamins for when you're hungover. But they also do ketamine.
Yeah.
So it was the first time I ever done it and it was
the
intravenous.
IV.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad you tried it. You love it?
Yeah, I did it 3 times. It was expensive, so I'm like, I can't keep doing this. But I got the tablets now, and I do them every so often. But it allows me to now view situations that are going down in a zoomed out way.
That's it.
And I'm like, thank God I don't have to fucking wait 10 years to go, you were so worried. I could just not be worried about it and go, how do we tackle this challenge? Life's not going to stop fucking with you. People aren't going to stop fucking with you. It's all how you handle it. And now you can like handle it.
Yeah, it's like
so exciting.
It's like it doesn't matter has like become a mantra to me now because my whole life, everything mattered so much.
Yeah.
Like, that thing, like I just have like a post-game show in my head. Like after any social interaction.
Playing it back.
I walk back and go like, all right, let's go to the videotape and see how you screwed this up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it was
fuck that shit.
Always. Like from being a little kid, like, oh, my uncles hate me. Why? And it's like, they don't hate me.
Yeah.
They've got lives.
They were just stressed out and I thought it was me.
Yes, yeah. But at the time, it's
They're
just like
adults and kids aren't that interesting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is good.
Kids are boring.
You want an uncle less interesting.
Totally.
That's the key
100%.
to a good life.
Yes. Disinterested uncles, which I am now.
That's great. This is great.
Sorry, I have one more question. Just one question, because you mentioned children a lot in this episode, but you don't have children.
Yeah.
Was that a decision you made like on purpose? Is a decision that biology made for you? Like what? How did that come up?
Biology has fought that a lot.
Oh yeah, your
We
cum's
got
working
super
real good?
swimmers.
Yeah,
We get it. You jizz.
Well, because especially that it came up in this, in this medicine that you're doing, like it seems to be this theme in your life, but then ultimately you decided on no.
Well, I think first of all that I would have loved to have had kids and
Right.
been a dad, and I think I would have been okay at it. But I also think that I had this like preconceived notion as a kid that like you get married, you have kids.
Right.
So not having one felt like a failure for a little while, you know what I mean? But then I kind of like had to realistically look at like myself, my anxieties, my career choice, the world.
Yeah.
Okay, like and I'm not delusional to think like you can have a kid that shoots up a school, not gets shot at a school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can have an asshole child or whatever.
Sure.
And I had this whole thing of like, how would I deal with that even? And like all that stuff. And it's like, I thought so much about it. And I feel like having a child is a thing that like you need to 1000% be like, this is what I want to do. And I
Right.
need to be a parent. They should be parents. I don't have
That's
that.
almost no one I've ever met.
I know.
Which is
I
why
know.
the world is very fucked up.
Exactly. And that's
And
why
then-
there's way too many people.
Well, and it's also, I know that's like a fight I've been having with people. They're like, the population's going down. I go, yeah, we don't.
That's a good thing.
We seemingly don't have enough for the people that we have.
Yeah.
I know.
So
I know.
Why,
There's no clean water in Michigan,
but
guys.
governments do freak out about it. But yeah, no, because and just doing this show every week, I'm like everyone. Basically, no one has a good review for their parents except for me.
And that- yeah.
and so I go, why the fuck would I want to sign up for a job when this is the review I'm going to get?
That's a-
99.9% chance I'm going to get a terrible review.
And I give a
Not
lot of
interested.
I give a lot of fathers and mothers
Yeah.
that travel
Yeah.
a lot of credit.
Sure.
But I don't think I feel guilty when I leave my dog.
Me too.
Oh, me too.
I'm like,
Oh,
geez,
I
it's like,
said bye to
you know,
Kat.
and I
Oh.
like grab her by the face and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm coming
Fucking
back, I
love you,
promise,
bitch.
you know? And I'm like, tell me with your words that you know that I. So I just don't think I can be a road comic, not
Yeah.
home when kids get home and so on. Like I want to be like fully invested, and my wife doesn't want kids. So
there you
it's
go.
like, yeah. So that was kind of like
That's
while
easy.
we were dating. That was like
She never
wow,
did?
never wanted kids.
Wow.
And I mean, we're aunts and uncles, and we travel, and
That's
we have a
great.
life together, and we've loved dogs, and we whatever. I just don't. It's okay to not be a. I think that thing
It's
I
okay to
had
not
with-
be a parent.
I think that thing I had
100%.
on mushrooms when it was like that
Yeah.
metaphorical visit.
Yeah.
I think that was like my conversation with myself, going like, it's okay to not be a dad. Like it's gonna be. It's fun.
you got released from that guilt.
You're gonna be a better person to the kids
People around you.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
my nephews and I, like we have great relationship. My niece, I'm a godfather to a couple of kids. Like so, I try to
that's
be.
great.
I try to be like there for them, but not. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I'll Venmo you money if you need whatever, about, you know, and that shit. So I just think that it's definitely been like a thing. Most of my life, like
Well,
I've kind of thought about it.
We genuinely, as humans, I think, want to be of service to the world, right? And so having a kid is a very easy, direct way to be of service.
Yeah.
But there are other ways
So
to
many
be
other
of
ways.
service.
Yeah, totally. And also I've been thinking about like vasectomy. Like I've been thinking about like getting that done, right? And I have this kind of like, what if, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you change your mind? And I'm like, nah, I'm never going to change my mind. Like at this point,
Yeah.
I don't want to have a,
So what if you get divorced and find a young lady? What was?
I have a buddy that got it reversed.
Yeah,
And
but
yeah, I was gonna say,
it
you
But
can
I'm
get
like,
it reversed.
is your wife the same age as you? Because
Yeah.
like then,
Yeah.
I'm like, then we're getting pretty close to not
You
being
couldn't have a kid,
able
yeah.
to.
Right.
You don't even need
yeah. No, totally.
She's
the
50,
only
you don't
way I'm
gotta-
the only way I'm having a kid is if I adopt a teenager that will help me with my socials. That's it.
And that's the reason to have a child. Adopt a teen. There are these like
They
ads
need
around New
to
York.
be adopted so badly.
Yeah, I would love to adopt an older kid. Oh my, not at this point in my life, but like later.
Like
I
how
would-
old?
Fucking however old, 14, 15, 16, doesn't matter. Like, because I have the tool. When you go through hell and back and in your own mind and you're like, oh, okay, I thought this was this huge thing and it's not. Now I see the world for like what it is. I know nothing matters. I know we're just here to love each other. And I know that some people are difficult because they're having internal battles. That's how it works. So
That's
like,
it.
I would love to adopt a kid with like special needs.
Oh, yeah,
Oh
that would
my
be
God. I would
incredible.
fucking love that. But like, or just a teenage, just anybody, a kid. That just feels, yeah.
I just think
good.
I need to make sure I have all of my I's dotted and all of my T's crossed financially, so I could just go like anything that this person needs, they're taken care of. I don't want to bring someone in and have them go through
Yeah.
me freaking
Can't
out
get your
about
formula
mo-
this year, buddy.
You know what I
Sorry.
mean? Yeah. So it's kind of like, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. But it's, I'm happy with everything at the moment. And
Good.
do you think
I like
you're
the at the moment.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm realistic
Oh, yeah.
about it. Do you want to, are you,
No, I don't think so.
no.
No.
Do you think about it often or not really?
Well, I've just thought about it to make I mean, I have to because I'm 39 years old, just to make sure that I didn't want to have kids. And I think I've thought about it more than most people who actually have kids. But yeah, I just don't think it's my path. I never, even when I was a little kid, I used to want to adopt kids, and now I think just no kids.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I wonder about is guys that are on this like experiential side of like an abortion, like I was, where it's kind of like, I can't be the only one that was
sure
like,
not. Yeah.
And I don't talk to anybody about it. Like, there's not a thing like,
Yeah.
so I always wonder about that. Like if there's other like
How they
guys.
deal with that. Like, do they
Yeah.
have
And it's
guilt?
like, is there guilt? Is there
Yeah.
this? Is there that? You know what I mean? And but I don't know. It's just an
knows?
interesting like kind of thought process of like, and she, I'm happy that like,
Yeah.
she went on to have kids and I hope everything's great, but it's just this weird thing of like, not everybody's going to have like a profound psychedelic experience where you're able to like figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I just hope everybody that does feel that stuff
have an alleviation of the guilt. Yeah, for sure.
Guilt
for
is
sure.
such a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be beneficial in terms of like keeping you on a good moral track, but like anything beyond that is too much.
Yeah.
It's shame, really. Shame is a bitch. Shame can make you an asshole. Shame can make you kill yourself. Shame can make you vote for a political party that, doesn't great. Mike, this was great conversation.
you.
Thanks for coming.
I appreciate it.
Where can we find more of you? What would you like to promote?
At Mike Finoia, MIKEFINOIA. Please hit follow. So
Yeah.
I'll keep getting booked on
Yeah.
comedy clubs.
It's all numbers games, baby.
At Are We Old? Are We Old podcast. Charles McBee, another hilarious comedian, and I co-host a podcast where we get nostalgic and answer the question, are we old? Mm-hmm. And all my tour dates are at punchup.live/Mike Finoia. And I got a ton of dates coming up. So
Nice.
How old is Charles McBee? I thought he was younger than me. He's
older than you.
Oh, interesting.
Really?
Oh, okay.
It's not my place to tell you his age.
A man never
but-
reveals his age.
Wait, you
in this
do a podcast called Are We Old and you don't reveal your ages on it?
Oh, I'm 45. He's 42.
I know. I was just saying, I was
just my attempt at a shitty joke.
I was like, you better be revealing your ages.
Yeah, we're old.
That's
we're
funny.
It's fun though. It's a blast. We're just geeking out. And right now we're all in escapism mode, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, hey, remember Goonies? And that's the podcast.
Do I ever.
So it's a blast. But thank you guys so much. And I really
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
coming on. This has been Guys We Fuck, the anti-slut shaming podcast. We will talk to you next Friday.